Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Are you a great baker? Do your friends say you should sell your cakes? They're that good. What about decorating, photography, writing, organizing? Do you have a passion that you do on the side to make some extra money? If so, guess what? You've got a side hustle. Up next on Another View, inspiring stories of 3 entrepreneurs who turned their side hustles into lucrative businesses, and they will share how you can too. Turning your side hustle into your main gig. That's coming up next on Another View, right after this national, regional, and local news from NPR and WHRO News.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. So today's show is a brainchild of the Another View crew, specifically Lisa, Barry, and Victor Bowen. Now, we were having a conversation just before the holidays, and the topic of side hustles came up. The 3 of them were super engaged, throwing out questions like, how do you know when to make the move? How do you know if your idea is big enough, bold enough to become a full-time business? And who are the people who have side hustles anyway? Now, I'll admit, I was a bit skeptical, but Lisa went to work and found 3 outstanding entrepreneurs who did just that, turned their side hustle into a lucrative business. So you know her as the youngest of our Another View Roundtable pundits, but Allison Moore turned her side hustle as a comedian into her company, Happy HR Partners. Hey, Allison.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Barbara. This is a new week.
I know. 2 weeks in a row.
Okay, we out here.
Here we go. DeMarcus Lassiter turned his side hustle as a photographer, videographer into his company, Digital Reflections Video Services. Hello, DeMarcus. How are you?
How you doing this morning? This is good to be here.
Oh, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate
Good to
that.
see you.
And Winter Stewart Dixon refocused her experience as a full-time nurse practitioner into her business, Hampton Roads Wellness Center, which provides medical marijuana and conducts physicals for the Department of Transportation, among other wellness things. How are you, Winter?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for you guys joining me today. I appreciate that. So I want to hear your stories. Okay. First, I'm going to go back to, because I know some of you have been at this for a minute and some of you are newer, but I want you to go back to when your passion, your job now, was your side hustle. What was happening in your life? Where were you working? Give us a sense of what was going on. Let's start with you, Allison.
So when my passion or my side hustle was a hustle. Hold on, say it again because my dyslexia got into.
What was happening in your life when you decided, hey, I need to add to my income, or I need to follow this passion, I need this side hustle?
I feel like we talked about this on Another View, but that's when I got fired. So I was working in human resources, and I had just started, so let's say maybe 12 years ago, and then I had just started doing comedy. And then I was at work anyway doing the trainings. They would always put me, you do the trainings, you do the orientations, and people liked mine, but it was because I was funny. And so then in other spaces, different entrepreneurs that I knew or small businesses, they'd be like, hey girl, can you come and do an HR training for me? Can you do orientation for me? So I would do that on the weekends or in the evenings, but I didn't even realize it was that side hustle piece. And so that just kept leaning to the other. Now, the first path that I took once I got fired from HR, which, by the way, how you get fired from HR? I should have seen it coming.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother story.
I should have looked on my desk and seen it. I should have seen my name, Barbara. But so then I went to first just doing that clean stand-up comedy piece. And so that's where I was with the side hustle piece. I kind of focused that majority of the energy doing comedy.
doing the comedy instead. Okay.
I had the HR background, but the only piece that was maybe surfacing would be like in jokes. Like I had a joke about HIPAA violation. I had a joke about going to work. So a lot of my jokes were workplace centered.
And when you started doing the comedy, was it because you needed some extra money too, or was it because I just love doing comedy?
Yeah, audiences would tell me, "You funny, you should be a comedian." I didn't grow up on comedy because my mom got saved when I was in 8th grade and she shut down secular TV and stuff for everybody. I'm like, wait a minute, lady, I had plans. I had a boyfriend. What are you doing? She met Jesus. Everybody supposed to meet Jesus. It's not my turn. That is a personal relationship, sis. And so I didn't grow up with comedy. You know, like when I became a comedian and started, people like, well, who's your favorite comedian? I'm like, I don't know. I was researching people. And people like, I watched the Richard Pryor album. So, well, not me. My mama ain't let me listen to that. But so it would be when I did an event or at my church or what have you, then they would come after like, girl, you a comedian. I laughed the whole time. So after hearing that a certain amount of times, then I had a friend that was like, why don't you try stand up? And then it just kept going from there.
It went from there. Okay. So DeMarcus, you were actually working at as Lisa put it, he was making weed whackers and stuff.
It goes back before then.
Goes back before that. What
Wow.
was happening to you and that you determined you needed a side hustle?
Well, first thing, I changed my major over to mass communications in the year of 2000. That was the same year I was on the Spirit of Norfolk. Okay. I started filming graduations in college, but I also was doing weddings on the weekends. You know what I mean? So I'm going to college, going to work, filming, doing all three of them at the same time, okay? Now, the conflict came in. This is when things got a little juicy. I was on the Spirit of Norfolk, and they want you to work all these weekends because Spirit of Norfolk ain't nothing but a restaurant on water.
Right.
And that's when they get most of their clientele on the weekends. So that's the time I have my weddings. So it was always a conflict. You can't work weekends. That's not fair to the other employees. But I'm about to make $1,500.
So you were full time working with Spirit of Norfolk.
Working with Spirit of Norfolk.
And it was conflicting with your passion.
Yes. And it happened on job after job after job. That was Spirit of Norfolk. I did 5 years at the Spirit of Norfolk. Then I went to Steel Incorporated, making chainsaws and weed
whackers.
Brush cutters is what we call it.
Okay.
Put some respect on his name.
These were some high paying jobs. I'm talking about $22 an hour at the age of 20, 23. That's a lot of money. But I was adding that with the money that I was making from these weddings and these anniversaries and these joints, and I was just like, man, why am I here? I'm smelling like oil when I get off. I mean, and that wasn't my only job either. I worked at the shipyard a little bit after that. But what made me make that decision was just, what are you going to do with your life? You're going to be on the job for the rest of your life, and you're not going to be able to do what God has put you on this earth to do. If you got a gift, you need to use it, and you need to be serious about it, and you need to manifest for it. You've been in college for it. What are you going to do? This is what I used to tell myself every day looking in the mirror and before I went on the job. Clocking in, hearing all this noise. You got to do what the boss tell you to do. You got to be back when they tell you to be back for 5 minutes. This boss younger than me. I'm nah. So that's what kind of motivated me to kind of put my 2 weeks in and, just give this thing a try. And I just had faith. And when I tell you it was not easy,
Wow.
It was not easy.
Okay, and I want to talk about some of the challenges you faced in a minute, but let's get Winter in also. Winter, what was your story? What was happening in your life as you developed your side hustle?
Okay, so I was a pretty new nurse practitioner, and a lot of nurse practitioners, the first couple of years, you're not really paid your worth. Okay, so I found myself working a full-time job and working a part-time job because I am a mother. And I was spinning my wheels, working hard and around the clock just to barely make it. So I watched both of my parents as entrepreneurs growing up. So I said, you know what? I can do this. And I had a previous employer told me, she was a nurse practitioner also. She said, hey, you should come to my office in Maryland. She employed me here in Hampton. But she said, I have an office in Maryland that does this service. And I know we're going to get into it later, but she said, it's a cash business. You should check it out. And that always stuck in the back of my mind. So when I saw an opportunity online, I jumped on it. And my dad, like I said, he's always been an entrepreneur. I said, Dad, I want to do this. I said, I'm tired of working for everyone else. He said, okay, what do you need? And that's how it began.
And that's how you started. So all three of you then have in addition to having a side hustle for financial reasons or for, creative outlet, release or whatever, you are all though entrepreneurs. I mean, you all have that bug, because everybody's side hustle can't necessarily turn into a business. What was your hardest part, Allison? Tell us about your business today, and what was the how far does it stray from the original side hustle, if it does at all?
Yeah, it goes all around us. Made me think it's gonna go back to the middle and around again. I'm gonna be there to the end. It's some loopity doops, but I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur, and I had to build the business piece of it. I mean, I went to Norfolk State, and my degree was in business, but I wasn't paying attention for real. Let's be honest. I just needed to graduate because my mom said, "I'll put you back in here. Don't play with me again." So I had to finish. Yeah. But I didn't have that structure. I actually said I wasn't going to go back to corporate because I was heartbroken. So when I got fired in January of 2016, and my mom had passed away December 2015. And I was so heartbroken. Like, y'all knew y'all was going to fire me before. Y'all should have been did it, because I could have been with my mother. I had put her in a nursing home nearby the facility. And so it was more so me saying, I'm never going to rearrange my life for somebody else again, because I was disposable. Like, that was just, so then that made me say, well, I'm going to do this comedy. And at that time I was just doing churches, and I'm making $300-400 a women's conference. And shout out to all the churches who held me down, because thank you, I appreciate you. But, I got expensive taste. So even if you do 4 of those, that's $1,200 a month. Yeah. Like, oh, shoot. So that I realized, okay, this is not it for me. And so then I started to, the next thing was people coming to me after a church, because I didn't have that background in comedy. People coming to me after church and say, yo, you mainstream, but like 10%. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you should be on TV. You shouldn't be in here. You should be on TV. You real animated and all these things. So then that helped me to try to, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I get in a mainstream space? So then that's when I opened for Sinbad. But I opened for Sinbad because I hired Sinbad. I booked Sinbad. I went to Norfolk State. I asked them, hey, can I rent the space? I'm an alum. So I rented the theater. I went and said I wanted to hire Sinbad. And then I had a show. We had 700 people there. I think that's when I originally met the producers here, because they knew Sinbad was coming to town. Doing those things just for the purpose of me getting on stage, because people were telling me, you're like a female Sinbad, I still missed the business piece of it. I was just like, I'm a hustler. I'm just trying to do what I got to do to get in front of somebody who I can make more money than $400 a month. So then that kept going. I did that for maybe like 3 years, and I'm growing, and I opened for Martin Lawrence in February of 2020 here at the Scope. And then we went into a pandemic.
Yes, we did.
I was just about to tell these people, oh, y'all, I was ready to flex. And we went into a pandemic 3 weeks later. So then times came, everything shut down, live entertainment shut down. I don't have any credits, so I don't have my little $400 a week. And I didn't have any other opportunities, but corporate was sending everybody home. They was like, hey, girl, everybody's home. We stressed. We scared. You still do that comedy. You don't cuss. You got HR. Can you get on Zoom and make people laugh? So then that was my, okay, laugh at lunchtime with Allison. And then some people realized, well, with the HR, can you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Because Brother George Floyd was murdered. Yeah. So then those things where people were kind of telling, I would just read the room or see like, And then once I went to corporate, there was more zeros behind the $200, $300, $400. So that's then I'm like, I need to stay in this space. But I couldn't keep doing it in a way where it was just a one stage at a time, because that's hard. You do a lot to get a client, and then you don't really get to see them for another year or two, because you done told all the jokes. But then that more services came from there. And
you started to build more clients.
I started to build more clients. Well, people would come to me after an event and say, 1 or 2 decision makers, like, what you do on conflict mediation? Because you talked about it in your joke. And so then I realized, okay, let me make sure that they see more of my seriousness or my ability to really help them with their human resources needs. And then that's where I kind of hit that sweet spot, because corporations need to retain talent. Then they see me as a Black woman. In my comedy, I'm very inclusive. And so then it was this cultural awareness and this shift of help us in that space.
And today you have a TV show.
Yes.
And so you continue to evolve.
Yes. So I had the More Laughing in the Morning show on Sky 4 TV. And that was because I just felt like in the times, especially in our pandemic era, like people were just sad and depressed. And people would come up to me and they're like, I love watching comedy. I watch comedy at night. I can't wait to watch. I'm like, why? So you can have a funny dream? Like, who want a comedy dream? What the heck? Bill, you need to be waking up in the morning because you screaming on people when you get to work. You need to laugh first thing in the morning. But then my content, just naturally who I am, is like, all right, so here's how you can be better at work. And here's how you can get your life better and your health better. So then it was like, you are really always, Allison, even if it's funny or not, in this professional or personal development space. Meanwhile, I got a client over here that's like, I just told my friend, and can you help us recruit? And then also, can you do some employee relations? And then we don't have any job descriptions. Can you help us? And I'm like, yes. So I pulled them both up at the same time. Mm-hmm.
So DeMarcus, when you decided to go all in, what was that like? I mean, what did you, other than looking at, okay, if I stay with X company, I'm making this. If I do my photography, I'm making Y. But there's some other emotions that go along with that.
I'm gonna tell you what happened. Well, all right. So I left, the warehouse on my own, on good terms. Okay. Ended up working at the shipyard. Okay. This is what happened. I was still doing my weddings on the weekends and my photography and everything. I was crawling on the submarine, and then we got down. We had our helmets on. I don't work the real job, so this is real experience. I'm telling you. I'm tall. We got to duck down all this stuff at the shipyard. I messed around and tripped over one of the cords. Boom! Oh, no. And there was like 5 employees around me. I'm not gonna say nothing because I won't hurt. I got up, went back and did my job, and everything was good. They said, "Nah, man, you need to report that." So being a good guy, went back and told my boss. I said, "Yeah, I just had a little accident. I just fell down." But I'm like, no, we got to get you to a nurse. I'm like, no, I'm good. Went to the nurse. They ran my medical stuff. I had been a car accident that I didn't tell them about in 2019. That they was like, well, since she didn't tell us about the car accident, we had to put you on leave. They put me on leave. I was in the union. They ended up, all right, well, we're going to let you sit home. We can call you when we're ready for you to come back to work. They did not call. So I'm already in the field making my money anyway. I already got my office anyway. This is when things started to look as an entrepreneur that I am, okay? I was still doing my work, waiting on them to call me back, and they finally told me, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to let you go. So that happened.
So both
motivated
of you
me.
Pretty much had that same kind of experience or catalyst to make you go do something else.
But I was trying to live up to my title. I've never been fired from a job, but evidently they didn't call me back. So when that happened, hey, you're used to a check coming every week. Now I'm to the point where, okay, if I don't work, I don't eat. I mean, it just got more serious and serious. And I already had a 20-year clientele build up anyway. Okay, now I started out doing video, but when I added photography, real estate agents, people from news stations, doctors, lawyers, we need professional headshots, we need this, we need that, we need my baby shower, can you do my wedding? All of that started adding up. I already got my regular clientele, but all of that started adding up. And I'm telling you, like, when they said, like, you dedicate your gift to God, which is what I did because I was on the ministry at church too, you're going to get blessings room enough that you can't receive. And that's what I believe is happening to me right today, because I have all of these clients that call me every week. I got new people coming. Now the website, everything is just running together and everything is running smooth at this time. And, it's taking off. And something Steve Harvey said, because I was going to venture to lead a job, but I didn't want to leave like that. He said, when you jump off of this mountain, your parachute is not going to open up right then. You're going to hit some bruises, you're going to hit some rocks, because it was time out, when I was running my business, I was like, dang, am I going to make enough money to eat today? I mean, I don't know about a homeless or poor number, but I'm just saying, if I don't work, I don't eat. It was times I didn't know, you can't spend all of your money when you're an entrepreneur. You have to save some. And this is the business aspect that because it started out as a talent and a liking. Then it started out as, okay, I'm not working because this is what I like to do. It's not work when you love what you do.
Yeah.
I'm just showing up with a camera, making sure everybody all right now. I mean, it's not work. I love it to death, but that's how I believe I'm in the situation today.
You still had to learn that business side of it.
I had to learn that business side, and it's a different world. I'm talking about insurance. You still got to go to the doctor. Still got to go to the dentist. Your eyes, get your eyes checked. All of that stuff you got to find out on your own. I didn't have anybody to tell me that. I had to find everything out on my own. through my clients.
Winter, I see you shaking your head in agreement.
Yes.
So tell us about
Yes.
your business today.
Okay.
And how that manifested.
Okay, so back in 2019, like I said previously, I had an employer who said, "Oh, I have a Maryland office. It's cash business. You need to check it out." Well, it was medical marijuana. And so I got an email one day. I was on vacation actually, and it was from Indeed, and they were looking for medical marijuana nurse practitioners. And I said, that's not even legal here in Virginia. How is this happening? So I did some research, and I looked on the Board of Nursing, and it said it was coming. They were building a dispensary and all these things. So I told my dad, I said, hey, I want to do this. I know this can be lucrative. And he says, okay. So that was October 2019. December, we found a space, probably the size of this room. And we signed a lease. So he said, okay, you need a business license, you need this. He didn't know anything about healthcare, but he knew the business.
The business side of it.
So he told me everything I needed to get started. Then COVID happened, right? I opened my doors January 2020. COVID happened what? February. And I was like, dang, how am I going to pay this rent?
Yeah.
You know, I said, I got to do something else in here also. And the dispensary kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. I think it finally opened that summer, but it was initially projected, I think, March of 2020. And so I was like, okay, what can I do? I was already doing, at that time, I was working in a nursing home doing primary care and long-term facilities, skilled nursing facilities. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable doing this. Let me see if I can get credentialed with insurance companies. So I started that process, and that was a long process because I was doing it myself, and I kept getting rejected by Medicare. No, you need this, you need that. And they kept sending me back to the bank for a bank letter. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. So then I said, well, what else can I do? I said, well, truck drivers. DOT physicals, they need that. Truck drivers aren't going anywhere, even in the pandemic. So I got certified to do that. And I said, okay, well, what else can I add on? And that's, and like he said,
you had a side hustle on the top of a side hustle.
Yes. And so like he was saying, if I don't
serious.
work, I don't eat. So I was like, well, what else can I do? What else can I, how can I just add on? So I'm always thinking of what I can do to bring more people in the door. And in the meantime, I'm still working full time, and I accepted a job with Hampton University. I was a COVID nurse practitioner. So, and I initially was in Chesapeake. So I moved my business to Hampton because I was working at Hampton and then getting off, trying to get through the tunnel, drive back to Chesapeake. I was seeing people in the evenings, on the weekends, whenever, just to see patients and build my patient population. And so like I would be working till 8 o'clock at night, or going in the office before I would go to my regular job at Hampton. It was just driving me crazy, because I was like, I know I have to do this in order to, get the bills paid and to keep going. So back in 2023, Hampton University had a change in leadership, and they said, well, we no longer need the COVID program. And I was cool with that because I knew it wasn't going to be forever, right? So the whole time I'm at Hampton, I'm like, okay, one day this is going to be over. So build up your practice. So I was doing stuff online, advertising, doing telehealth visits, again, trying to build my practice. And all the whole time still building skills, adding on services. And so when they told us in the beginning of 2023, June 30th is your last day, I said, cool. I'm going to be ready to be full-time for myself.
Yeah.
So when I walked away, I haven't looked back. And I love what I do. It's not work if you love what you're doing, right? My patients love me. I love my patients. I'm the small clinic that people can go to and feel safe and also have a great visit while they're there. Because it's myself and I have a medical assistant, so we're small staff, right? But everyone comes in, we laugh and we're joking all day. People feel like family, and they always leave with a smile, ready to come back for the next visit. That's how I'm here now.
You guys are so inspirational. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call to join our conversation. Do you have a side hustle? If you do, when did you start? Tell us about it. And are you thinking about moving it to your full-time gig, which is a whole different area, because what you did for your side hustle is magnified many times over once you become an entrepreneur. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. We want to talk to one more entrepreneur, and his name is Chance Wilson. and he is joining us now. Chance, are you in Norfolk?
No, I'm actually in Virginia Beach. Thank you for having me on, though.
Not a problem. So I know you have done many, many things. We've known each other for a very long time. But can you talk about kind of the same way that our guests in studio have? Where were you when you developed your side hustle, and what moved you into full-time entrepreneurship?
Well, I would tell you, starting back in the 2000s, like between 2000 and 2001, I was working for finance and banking companies, and I remember that, everyone has a cubicle, right? Everyone remembers the cubicle, and I remember one day I was in my cubicle, and I think I just lost it. I looked at the clock. It was around noon, and I don't know if you ever have those glimpses where your life seemed like it's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I just jumped up, and it was a pretty big floor of people all on the computers and everything. And I said, I can't take this anymore. I said, we do the same thing. Nothing changes. I mean, it is literally a carbon copy of yesterday. Wow. And shortly after that, I left there, and I end up coming across a gentleman that I met that was a musician. And I said, man, you're amazing. It would be awesome if I could be a manager. And I never really knew what a manager did, or an entertainment manager. And the only thing I knew was he had some royalties that were owed from Motown. And I said, let me see what I can do with making people more aware of your music. And maybe, I don't know, see if we can get in contact with some folks to give you some clarity on your back pay. And make a long story short, I end up taking him to New York, met some really big power hitters in New York, and my life opened up. Was like, this is what I was talking about, where things were changing, not being the same. And I was able, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, so you didn't have it start out with a side hustle while you were working full time. You just decided, I'm done.
Well, you know what? You end up having to think of something because you got to pay the bills.
Got you.
So my side hustle, and I hate to say my side hustle was entertainment management, because there is no qualification for that and a salary for that. It's kind of like, okay, I'm doing this and hopefully it pays off, and you're crossing your fingers, but your light bill is still due, your bills are still running. So if I didn't have the guts to just take some really quick risk, and I emphasize quick risk, like I couldn't really sit on something and ponder for years. Like, hey, let's pack up, let's go to New York, see what happens.
Wow.
And it worked out. I managed to get him paid, managed to make some connections. Unfortunately, we broke apart. I'm back at square one. So now either I go back to that 9 to 5 or I start my own. And I end up starting a consultancy from what I learned from New York, which was a lot of project development. So we're talking about media development, negotiations, professional training, because I was around some really cool guys that were not just in the music. Because once you're in the music business, it's not really music. It's music, film, commercial real estate. It's just people who are just doing big business deals. And I kind of took those elements and started my business. And 2003 was when I started and kind of opened the doors.
And so tell us about your business today.
So Benchmark, what I started, does exactly that. I've been a business strategist going on now 20 years, do a lot of communications for different companies, help different authors, public speakers. We do a lot of web services and professional web development. People really love the quality of the work that we do. And in doing that, some really cool events we've done in the community, work with Applebee's and some community engagement projects. And just to think how far I've come from that guy who stood up in the middle of that financial company and said he couldn't take it, and all of the cool people I met. I think the best thing about entrepreneurship is meeting people like yourself. I would never have met real, true industry professionals and specialists if you're going to work 9 to 5. You're going to miss those engagements. You won't go to those events. You won't network. You won't shake those hands. So you're not really going to grow personally.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Chance, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Like I said, I've known you for many, many years now, and I am always amazed because you just keep moving it forward, and that's what's most important.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Meg joins us from Chesapeake. Hi, Meg. You're on the air.
Hi, hello.
Hi. You're on the air.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. Good. I just wanted to call and say, first of all, I love listening to all of your shows. But this
you.
one hit home. I started my own massage therapy business in 2017. I was 100% mobile at the time and had paired up with another girlfriend of mine who was a postpartum doula, and the two of us worked together. Just serving our clientele. And then in 2021, we opened a business called the Juniper House in Chesapeake. It's a prenatal, postpartum, and wellness facility that is run by all women entrepreneurs, and all of us started as side hustle.
Oh, wow.
And it has now turned into full-time.
So Meg, let me ask you a quick question. When you started your side hustle, when you started that, did you think that someday I'm going to make this full-time? Or was it really on the side?
Plan. Yeah, no, it was a 5-year plan to possibly go full time with it, and it wound up going full time in 6 months.
Wow.
So if you've got the time and the drive, you can absolutely make it happen.
You can make that happen. Thanks so much for the call, Meg. We appreciate it, and congratulations. If you're just joining us, we're talking about turning your passion project side hustle into a thriving business. Our guests include Allison Moore, owner of Happy HR Partners, DeMarcus Lassiter, owner of Digital Reflections Video Services, and Winter Seward Dixon, owner of Hampton Roads Wellness Center. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Allison, what was the way that you were able to overcome fear as you went through this journey?
I had kids to feed. I mean, they just, at that time I was in a relation, I was married. So I was married for 17 years and then I got divorced. So we broke up right after I opened for the Sinbad show. So and my full-time situation is required me to go in front of live audiences, and all of that shut down in March 2020. So now I don't have a second income to depend on. And I got these kids who were looking at me like, hey, girl, we don't care about that, but we want some Jordans. Like, they were doing school on Zoom, but they still wanted to be fresh on Zoom, right? And so it was just this, I didn't have time to be afraid, or I'm always scary, but I'm still going to do it. So, people say all the time, like, you don't look nervous. You don't look. No, I'm scared to death. I'm having an anxiety attack right now. No, you're not. I am. But that's why, my side effect is I get funny. The funnier I am, you just know I'm about to die. Somebody save me. But, I couldn't let fear keep me from paying the bills because I sure didn't want to go back to that relationship, and I wasn't going to hold my head down. So when you're doing your business today, are you still afraid? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So sometimes I'm like, dang, this is a lot, especially when you're talking about helping organizations with their culture. So like we thrive on culture improvement. And any businesses, pitch ourselves, any business that wants to use the cultural awareness. So that's like multicultural or multilingual. I got 4 people on my staff that are bilingual. And so I really like to tell a lot of CEOs, you probably have some talent that's not really stepping up because they don't feel seen, heard, or valued. And that's what happened to me. I got my old companies, they would love for me to come back now. They're like, oh, you could do all of that. I'm like, yeah, but when I was talking before, you had me marginalized, or I felt uncomfortable, or I was code switching to deaf and got confused. And so I really try to encourage people, the talent that you have, a lot of times you got really great people there. So that's what we do with the Happy HR Partners. Let me tell you a little bit about the statistics from 2024 in terms of side hustles, okay? 69.6% of Americans report having a side hustle. I was stunned because I really thought people were doing the whole 9-to-5 thing. Everybody's got something going on the side, okay? 115.9 million Americans 16 and older report having a side hustle. Millennials make up 55.4% of all side hustlers. Baby boomers
y'all out there, me, 18.40%. And African Americans are more likely to side hustle, 15.2% versus 13.6% of U.S. population. And Hispanic Americans are the next group that are involved primarily with side hustles. But anybody can have a side hustle. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Tyler joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Tyler. You're on the air.
Hey, Barbara. I finally had something to call in about. I've been listening to you.
Go ahead.
I side hustles. My side hustle I started years ago. I restore vintage Honda motorcycles, 3-wheelers from the 80s, mini bikes, all that kind of stuff.
Oh wow.
Started with just one, and now I have probably 20 bikes. So it feeds my own personal collection. It feeds me being able to go drag race. It feeds me being able to fund different restorations I'm doing that I intend on selling when they're done. So it's helped me buy a lot of tools and equipment to expand and be able to do more stuff out of my own home shop instead of having to pay others to have stuff done at their shops.
Mm-hmm. So Tyler, are you working full time in addition to this, or have you made the switch over to a full time entrepreneurship?
I haven't made this. I work full time as an estimator for a company out of Virginia Beach. So I do that full time. I do this on the side on the weekends and during the week after work.
Mm-hmm.
But I did finally start an LLC for it last year. Mini Bikes of Virginia.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right.
So are you thinking about taking the plunge?
I am. It just depends on, I've done the math, and I'd have to do like 30 bikes a year. So it's fine being able to find that many out in the world that are worthy of restoration. And,
yes.
And being able to line all those up and parts and different things like that. When you're dealing with vintage stuff, it's a lot harder than just going to the store and buying some parts.
Sure, absolutely. Tyler, we wish you the best of luck. I hope everything works out for you, and keep enjoying that side hustle that you're doing. So I want to ask each of you in the studio, what is one thing or the first thing that people need to think about as they are really contemplating taking that side hustle to the next level? Because even though most of you got thrown into it because of circumstance, there were still things you had to do. So, Winter, let me start with you. What is something that is critical that they need to know that has to happen?
I would say know everything that's going to go into it. So, like for me, an issue I was having, especially during COVID, was having a CLIA number. Like, who knows what a CLIA number is, right? Well, it's actually a number that gives you the authority to do testing or point of care testing in your office. So just knowing what goes behind what you're doing, knowing what's on the back end. Because before I just went to work, did my job, went home, right? Now it's everything. I go to work, I do my job, go home, I'm still doing my job. I got to pay the bills, I got to pay my employee, I got to make sure everything is stocked. I got to make sure all the paperwork is in order, nothing is expired. Do I have everything I need to do my job? So just knowing all sides of what you're doing. So it's
more so than just the passion that you have for nursing.
Yes.
You also have to make sure that you have the credentials, that you have the licenses and so forth.
And also go into it knowing what it's going to cost for you to be able to feed your family and to be able to do this job and do it right, So just knowing, I guess, having a budget and knowing what's realistic. So
okay, DeMarcus.
I would say even if you're working a full-time job and your side hustle, I always had to think about saving money anyway. When you get out here and you do the side hustle and you want to turn it into something real and manifest, bills will still due. You cannot spend everything that you make. I would suggest you study money, put some to the side, pay your bills, and be able to, maneuver on a rainy day. And I would say after you do that, just be consistent. Be consistent. Let people know you're serious. Do what you say you're going to do, because it doesn't get any easier when you're your own boss.
Well, and speaking of that, because I want to ask the two of you this before I come to you, Allison. Well, let me get from you, Allison. What is one thing that you think people need to really contemplate before they take that plunge?
That's a great question, Barbara, and I think this is a hack as well too to help people get to success faster. Is stack yourself with the resources to cover your blind spots. So put people around you or resources around you that can't do the thing that you can do. So even like when Tyler was saying, he would love to, but he got to get the business. that is something that I don't struggle with, because me being a comedian, I can always be in front of an audience of 200 or 300 people at a time and throw up something. I'll get 15% of people who like me come to me afterwards, so I can get the business. But I didn't have the infrastructure, and it took me a long time to realize you need to hire somebody who can now be operations. Because you out here, you can kiss babies. What is it called? Shaking hands and kiss babies.
Yeah.
So if you are the person that, Tyler sounds like he's the person that he has the skill to do the job, he should stack himself with somebody who is the personable person or can get that lead generation. So that is something that I think is the biggest thing, because that's what scares people. I can't do the such and such, and go find somebody and pay for it. Pay for it if you need to. If you don't know someone, pay for a program, invest in a mentorship program, or go and network. Partner with someone who does the opposite of what you can do. And so even when you ask me about the fear piece, my fear is now the new fear is I got 12 people. They're part-time or 1099 people. Well, I want to bring them in because I need more of their time. So now it's just this, I'm casting a vision, and they feel the vision, but I'm like, I got to make sure this operations lady can make sure that we get paid. So that's a part of what I would tell people before you, or as you're contemplating, just pull the pieces around you that you don't know. Don't let your not knowing sabotage you.
What would go ahead, DeMarcus.
One more thing. She just mentioned it. I was just going to say, I had 1 or 2 or 3 mentors. Always get a mentor in what you're trying to do, and make sure they're doing it to real excellent, and study what they do and listen. Even today, I still call my mentors. I don't know everything, but make sure you have mentors. That's very important.
So the question I wanted to ask you also, that I asked Allison, how did you overcome the fear piece? Yeah.
I never really walked in fear, to be honest with you. Okay. I was always pretty confident, because like I said, I would match my money up with what I was already getting. The only thing, scary about the fear is just when you work a 9 to 5, you got a check coming. You got a check coming, okay?
And you know what day it's coming.
Yeah, Friday,
Yes.
All right, direct deposit, hit this, that. But when you get out here and it's not a direct deposit and this mortgage still due, I'm a homeowner now. You're talking about mortgage, car payment, cell phone bill, car insurance, insurance, dental insurance, all of that stuff. So once you get the swimming around your bills and all that stuff and you get comfortable, that's when the fear leaves. And my clientele has helped that. I got regular clientele that call me every week. So that is what helped me overcome the fear.
Overcome that piece. What about you, Winter?
I can't say that I had a fear.
You think part of that's because you came from an entrepreneurial family?
No. My story is a little similar to Allison's. I got divorced during COVID also, and I have children, and they still want to eat, and they still want all the things, right? But like, even my whole adult life, I always just made a decision. And my mom will say, dang, you just made that decision? Like, I went into the military, and I told her after I signed up, hey, I leave in 3 weeks for basic training.
Wow.
So like, I make a decision, and I'm like, I'm going to do it, and it's going to work. I cannot fail. So, I was used to getting a check every 2 weeks, and that was different because, every day I'm checking the mailbox, like, okay, did Blue Cross Blue Shield send something out today? But, you just, I'm 5 years in now, and I wouldn't say that I'm comfortable, but
you can breathe.
Yes. Yes.
That's a good. We got a Facebook question from Blake from Smithfield, and he wants to know, how do you all balance working the business and perfecting your craft? Allison.
I do it at the same time, but I carve out times. Like, I have to hit an open mic because comedy is what makes it interesting for a lot of people. So I have to say, okay, girl, and I have a chief of staff now. Like, you need to make sure that you are perfecting the craft. Like, you just got to put it on the calendar. So that's the comedy piece. In regards to the staying abreast of like HR laws and policies and that kind of thing, I hired a person that's my director of operations, and she is actively certified with the EEO. Like, I stack the people around me so that I can confidently do what I do best, which is meet new people, assess they got a challenge. Like, look, let me help you. You got a high turnover rate, or we can come in. We do very engaging and fun trainings. That's my favorite jam piece of it. And we can support you, but I'll put people around me, or I will put it on the calendar to do, because I don't want to be dry. I already know that I have this. I'm small, I'm new, I'm just coming into a very big place that can really make or break an organization. So I put it on the calendar.
Okay. What about you, Marcus?
Well, one thing about my photography and video, I try to be a perfectionist about what I do anyway. The craft part, I do on location photography. If I don't have a gig on a certain day, do you know I'm out there practicing lighting? I take this
So
serious.
you're constantly practicing.
I'm practicing lighting. I'm practicing this. I'm practicing that. And I take pictures of people by the water just so I can get it right when it's necessarily time. I treat this like everybody. Like if you want to be good at soccer, you want to be good at basketball, you have to practice, perfecting your craft and doing a job.
Winter.
I would say I'm always thinking about it. I mean, I'm even having dreams about what I can do to perfect the business, right? As a healthcare professional, we always had to do continuing education units so that we stay up to date on everything. So that's that goes without saying. But I'm always looking at, okay, what's the new trend? What are people wanting? What with COVID, people have gotten more into themselves and how they look. So I'm like, okay, all right, beauty services, Botox, weight loss management, body fillers. Okay, that's what people want. Let's get it. Let's get the training. You have to invest in yourself. That's a big thing also. I should have said that earlier when you're talking about people who want to get started. You have to be willing to invest in yourself and stay with what's current or what's trending.
Or what's coming up. Let's go to Ed in Virginia Beach. Hi, Ed. You're on the air.
Barbara?
Yes. Hi.
Yes, this is Ed Sykes. How are you?
Hi, Ed. I'm fine. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Good.
Great program as always. I just wanted to add and sort of fill in the pieces for some of your great guests that are on. People who are thinking about entrepreneurship, time, and getting up to speed quickly is most important. And what I find out is that entrepreneurs need to understand this AI, because AI makes the whole process quicker and more efficient. So what happens is you may be sitting there thinking about, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? You just ask AI. AI gives you all the answers, and you're up and running.
So, okay, go ahead, Allison. Respond.
100%. So once I realized, okay, I got these people, and I asked all my people when they come in, what's the salary? What will it take for me to be able to offer you something you could leave your job? So I got like 3 people, they want to make 6 figures. So then I went into ChatGPT, and I'm like, okay, how can I pay 3 $100,000 salaries, an $80,000 or $60,000? Like I put it in there, and I say, here are my services, here's how much it costs. And so then ask ChatGPT, and it will tell you if you have this many clients this month on your retainer, then you can generate $500,000 a month, and then you can pay your such and such and such and such. So
it really does help you come down.
It really does help you, yeah.
Ed, thanks so much for giving us that suggestion. And you're retired now, right? Because I know you were an entrepreneur, but are you retired?
Yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I'm never retired.
Awesome.
So
No days
I
off.
just want to add, because use AI as the starting tool, not the end result.
Yes.
So AI, once you ask the question, it's going to give you the answer. It may not give you the best answer, but that's where you come into play.
Exactly,
so
so that you can start.
The questions you ask AI, the better results you get.
So, Ed, let me ask you a quick question. Did any of your businesses start from a side hustle?
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I'm starting one now. It's called Plant-Based Dad. So it's all going to be about plant-based eating, health, recipes, all those type of things. So that's one of the things I'm using AI to start another business for.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks so much for the call. We appreciate it. So last opportunities to talk about, well, first of all, because we only got about 6 minutes left, I think Lisa told me. The time flies when we're having fun, right? Does the term side hustle, the term hustle, have a different meaning to you all today, do you think, than the historical meaning within our community? Because in the Black community, it went from either as a hustler, you were somebody who worked really hard and went after it, or you were dealing drugs and doing bad things. So, so now the shifting of the use of the word has changed. So what do you think? Is it different now, DeMarcus?
Well, being a man, I can tell you this. If you take these video cameras and this photography camera from me today, I'm gonna be a hustler. I'm gonna get a lawnmower. I'm gonna get some business cards made. I'm gonna do something else. I'm going to change tires. I'm going to wash cars. That's the hustler. I'm a hustler. I'm a natural hustler, and I got it in me. I know how to do work with my hands. Okay. Now, side hustler, that's when we're talking about the business that we do. But that's the differentiate between hustler and side hustler. Be able to hustle. Okay. And then you can use it in a term like, okay, man, it's time to hustle. Get up and go to work if you don't want to and all of that stuff. But those three elements that I just gave you, you take these cameras away, I'm going to find something else to do. I'm going to sell some cell phones or something. It's just in me.
So that's what's in you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Winter.
I agree with DeMarcus. Like you said, back in the day, it was looked at as negative. You dealing drugs or you hustling somebody out of money or something like that. Today, I even have a sign in my home that says, "Good things come to those who hustle." When I first got it, my mom kind of sighed at it and looked like, I was like, listen, it's not like that. I'm a person who goes out there and I go get it. I'm always trying to go get it. I'm always looking for the bag. So. That's my connotation.
Okay. Allison?
Yeah, it's kind of a projection thing to me. I wasn't privy to that culture, so I never looked at hustle as for drug dealers and et cetera. It didn't hit me. It always meant to me ambitious. It always meant you were gonna go get it. If you needed it, you were not gonna be stopped. So it was positive connotation for me, and still kind of the same way.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes left. Last piece of advice to people you'd like them to think about. Winter.
Make sure you have your team, kind of like what Allison said, stacking people around you. And when I first started, I was trying to do everything. I was trying to do the billing, the secretary, to do everything. No, you have to be able to delegate duties to people. Okay, so build a team around you who can do the things that you shouldn't have to do, so that you can just focus on the thing that you love to do. That, and people ask me all the time, how'd you do it? Caffeine and prayer. So, know what you need to keep going, whether it's, going for your kids, your family, or your own personal goals or whatever, but just know what you need to keep going and don't stop. Just keep going till you
keep hustling.
Keep hustling.
Keep hustling. DeMarcus?
Consistency means a lot. Make sure you love what you do. Get a mentor, research it first, and like she said, just keep going. I mean, because in a business, it fluctuates. It's up 1 minute, it's down 1 minute. You got to keep going and manifest. It's going to happen.
And we want to also announce that DeMarcus, when he leaves the show today, is going to New York. He's an actor also, and is going to be in a movie coming up. So there you go.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Allison, you get the last minute.
If you don't like what you're doing now, it's not going to get better. So switch, pivot. It's never too late, even if you're in your 70s. If you do have an employee or if you do have a small company, you got to focus on the culture. People are going to quit on you. They're playing and they're listening to this show. So if you don't have an HR person in-house, get you some help. You're going to lose great people because, like you said, the statistics show that people have other options and they're going to realize that they're making a lot more money on the weekends than at your company. So call me.
Okay.
Gang, gang.
I love that. How do people get in touch with you?
Support at happyhrpartners.com.
Okay. DeMarcus, how do people get in touch with you?
Digital Reflections Video, LLC. That's on Instagram. My website is digitalreflectionsvideo.info.
Okay. And Winter?
www.hamptonroadswellnesscenter.com, or you can reach us on Instagram at Hampton Roads Wellness Center 757.
All right. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me. And we hope that you have been inspired by our guest today, perhaps provoking you to consider stepping up your side hustle game. You can listen to this show again, or you can share it with a friend. Go to whro.org/anotherview, or to Spotify, or to anywhere you go for your podcast listening pleasure. Next week on Another View, Dr. Eric Claville reflects on the inauguration of the 47th president and explores what we should expect in the first 100 days of the new administration. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Monday is a federal holiday when we celebrate and commemorate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So do something kind for someone in his honor. Let's get together again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.